guys, my name is Norma. Many of you know me as the wedding officiant, but I actually have a notary and tax business. So right now it is tax season, and I've been meaning to make this video because every year we hear the same things. So hopefully this video could be a little bit educational for those that don't know a lick of thing about taxes. So this is why we are here to educate. The first question, when can you start filing? Well, as soon as you get all your forms from your employer. In most cases, you will get a W-2 form, but there could be other circumstances where you get a 1099 form. The only thing about a 1099 is that you are basically self-employed. You're a contractor. What does that mean? That they do not take taxes throughout the whole year until the end of the year, which is why I recommend people to get W-2 forms or find a job that's going to pay you with a W-2 form. Because if you're working with a 1099 form, you're basically reporting a self-employment business, and it's a little bit more expensive because it takes more hours to process this tax return versus just a regular W-2, which means that us as tax preparers will have to charge you more. Another thing is that you do have to pay taxes at the end of the year because remember, they did not take taxes throughout the whole year. So yes, you are able to write off things, but if you didn't have a business, like let's say for instance me, I have my business, I can write off paper, I can write off utilities because this is my registered business. But as someone who is just employed by somebody, you can't really write off much. Make sure to speak with your tax preparer for more information. We are on January 21st. People have already received their W-2s. I've already started filing for my regular clients. And the only thing is that depending on what kind of credits you get, the IRS will not start processing until January 27th. So if you have the child tax credit, then the IRS will start processing that on February. I can't remember the exact date, but I know it's sometime in February. You can always keep track of your tax refund. If you're getting something back, just go to irs.gov and look up, check my refund status. Or you can also download the mobile app, which is IRS2, the number 2. Go. Another big one. Can I file my taxes online or should I go to a professional? W-2s are very straightforward, so you can definitely do that yourself. You can go to the IRS website. They are now offering a service where you can file directly through their system. So yes, you can file it, but if you are unsure, if you don't want to mess with your taxes, then yes, I recommend hiring someone. Make sure that you go to a professional that has reviews because during this season, there's a lot of scammers out there. And you're dealing with providing your personal information like your social security number, date of birth, or ITIN number. So you have to be very careful. Now, let me tell you a little bit about my story. Years ago, before I was even a tax professional, I did my taxes through TurboTax, and I'm very intelligent. Like, I love reading. So I read everything right, and they gave me a good enough refund. But then later, I believe it was like months to a year later, the IRS sent me a letter saying that I owe the money back because I messed something up. So imagine me, someone that loves to read, messing up. It could happen to you. So you have to be very careful about that. And yes, the IRS can go back multiple years if needed. So that's something to take into consideration. How long does it take for you to process a refund? Well, that goes back to when you started filing. If the IRS is already accepting returns, usually it could take up to 3 to 4 weeks. Sometimes it can take even more when your case is a little bit complicated, or when you are either applying for an ITIN or renewing your ITIN. I've had a client who her case was a little bit challenging, and the IRS is definitely still investigating that because they're looking 3 years back. 1 year she was married. The next year she filed single because her husband passed away, and then the following year she did get remarried. She's already older, so they know what they want in their lives, right? But the IRS doesn't see it like that. They see it like, well, why are you filing different statuses, right? Like, why are you switching it up so fast? So you have to be very careful with the way that you file. What happens if my taxes are late? This also depends. You have to give it some time for the IRS to process everything. Remember, you're not the only one that they're processing the refund. Now, I'm not siding with them because I honestly think that the government's just, I'm not even going to talk about that. But you have to give them time because there's millions of people filing at the same time as you. So you're not the only one. You have to be patient. Another big question is, can I amend my tax return? You sure can, as long as it has been processed already through the IRS, which means that it went through. A lot of times people can amend because they had unreported income or because they missed something. The system usually rejects the application. Like, let's say if the name is wrong, date of birth, social is wrong, it will not accept it. Like, they need the correct information for it to go through. But if you are missing income, then yes, you're more than welcome to file amended return. We assist with all of that as well. What if I didn't make any income? Well, can I still get the child tax credit? Nope. You cannot get a child tax credit because you did not work. The way that it works is that you have to make some sort of income. Every year is different because every year the IRS tax laws do change to qualify for a child tax credit. Now, if you don't have any income at all and let's say you are married, yes, you can file married filing jointly with your spouse and report your kids like that with their income. What types of income do I need to report? Well, technically, you're supposed to report anything that is over $500 to $600. So if you started a small business, then it's recommended for you to report that. And on the bright side, if you only made $500, but let's say you spent $5,000 for supplies because this was your first time running the business, then that's a good write-off for you. But again, speak with your tax preparer. How do I report self-income? Like, let's say me, for example. I file as sole proprietor, so I attach a Schedule C. My husband works with the W-2, so that's a little bit separate. Yes, we do file taxes together, but his W-2 has nothing to do with my Schedule C. Although we are filing jointly, it's two separate forms, if that makes sense. Now let's speak about credits. A lot of times people think that because they're getting credits, they're getting that money. I remember someone texted me, hey, it looks like they're giving $7,000. Is that true per kid? And I was like, no, that's not how it works. Credit just means that it kind of helps balance off the amount that you owe, because let's say you work with the W-2 and they only took away $1,000 for taxes and you have one dependent. Well, apparently to the government, you didn't give enough, right? And if you have a social, then you qualify for the earned income credit and a child tax credit. So that will help you balance off so that you won't owe as much. I can't really tell you how much you will get because I need to check that in the system. It's not something that we can guess. Like I said, every single year it changes. So please stop asking the same questions for people. One thing I stopped doing in these Facebook groups, I do not really respond to people asking tax preparer questions because they don't want to pay a consultation. And it's like, you have to pay for the expertise because taking time out of our day to assist you with your issues. Can I deduct medical expenses? You sure can. If you were hospitalized, if you went to the doctor, a lot of times you had to pay out of pocket for medication and all that. Yes, you can actually report that. When should you file? I think that you should wait until you get all your forms. Let's say if you get a 401k, if you have a Roth IRA, a high yield savings account, they usually give you a tax form at the end. Also, if you have a property, like if you actually own a property, not renting, if you're buying a property or you have multiple properties, you do get forms for that as well that you can report. Now, if you do have a business and you have employees, you do need to hire a CPA so that they can advise you, a certified public accountant, so that they can advise you on your business. But it's at your discretion if you want to give them the W-2 forms or the 1099s. Make sure that you reach out to a CPA near you so that they are able to assist you with that. What about retirement? What if you take money out of your 401k? I do get that question. Yes, you can report it, and technically you are supposed to report it because you took out money. So you have an option. You can either pay right there and then before you take out the money, which is a good chunk. I don't recommend anyone to take out money from their 401k unless it's like a very good excuse or a very serious emergency. Other than that, don't take it out because the government will take the big old cut. So just wait till you're older. But if you do take out money, then like I said, you have the option to pay right there and then. If not, then you can pay monthly, but they usually send out a form as well. Do I need to file state taxes? Well, it depends on what state you're in. Here in the state of Texas, we do not have state taxes. We only do federal taxes. But I know that like the state of Louisiana and California, for example, those they do have state taxes. Now, what happens if you sell your home? You have to report that too, because that is income that you received. The government will get money wherever they can, y'all. Why did I start filing taxes? Because I try to be as honest as possible, and not to bash on many, but there are a lot of scammers. So that's why I decided to do this, and I love math. What should you do to avoid red flags for an audit? Definitely look at your income and what you're reporting. It's very sketchy again if you're reporting single and married. Of course, there's times where you are divorced, but there's a lot of factors, so that's kind of like a gray area question. But you definitely have to be careful with what you are reporting. What happens if you do get audited? Well, the IRS can look a few years prior to check how you've been reporting. So be careful. Don't mess with the IRS. That right. So what happens? What happens if you do owe taxes? As soon as you file, you have the option to pay right there and then, or you can set up payment plans with the IRS. So it's up to you guys what you want to do there, or you can also send a check to them. These are most of the basic questions. Now let's talk about situations that I see a lot. I get this question a lot. But I made $3,000 last year. I got back $3,000 when I reported my kids. Why didn't I make the same this year? Well, tax laws do change, and then usually when we look at this, it's because you made more money. And when you make more money, guess what? More money, more problems. That's a real thing. So if you made more money than the last year, you're not going to get enough of the child tax credit. Another one that I get is, well, my friend made the same income. They have the same status as us. Like, well, do you really know though? Like, did they show you the W-2 forms? Did they show you everything? Like, are you sure y'all made the same income? Because you don't know what other accounts they have. Anyways, just because your friend or family member or coworker like got a certain amount back, it does not mean that you will get the same amount back. Every case is different, guys. Think of it, if you go to the store, you go to Walmart, you have a cart full and a TV and an Xbox and all these other things. And then the person next to you just has the basic groceries with no Xbox, none of that. Obviously, they are not going to pay as much as you. Of course, this is a different scenario, but I'm just trying to make it simple for you guys, like basic math. Another one that I get is, well, I heard that we were supposed to get this much per kid. Again, that depends on how much you made, your income, and your kids, and your status. A lot of people do ask me why they're not getting much back, and usually it's because they do not have a legal status, which is sad because people misconstrue that immigrants make a lot of money, barely make anything back. Another basic question is, well, what if I don't have access to that form anymore, the W-2 form? I don't work for that employer, the job's not available anymore, like they just went ghost. Well, on the IRS website, when you work your social, they have track of all that. They keep track of something, and they call those transcripts. So transcripts are what keeps track of your income, and you can download them when you create an IRS account with them. You'll be able to download them, and that's how you'll be able to file your taxes. So if you have any questions, reach out to your local tax preparer. I do prepare taxes all over the United States. For business taxes, it's a little bit different, just depending if you have an LLC or S Corp, but I am more than happy to assist. If not, then hire someone that's nearby you, and remember to check out the reviews. God bless.